Now, we've already done classes specifically on why gender essentialism is so harmful and so detrimental. And on those classes and on the beginning of these series, I've been getting some really interesting comments. And I've also been getting some private comments and some messages that people have expressed their displeasure with these classes. I've been told that gender essentialism isn't really harmful, that it's just part of the pagan community, part of the structure, and that we should not only accept this but welcome it. I've been told that I'm delusional. I've also been told that I'm super close-minded by wanting people to be more open-minded, which I think is interesting. And here's my response to basically all of the naysayers and everyone who has a problem with these videos. First, you can find plenty of tarot classes that teach the old LGBTQIA erasing, gender essentialist version of the tarot. Believe me, the books and most of the videos are made for you, so go watch those instead. I don't need your viewership. I don't need your support. I will go and work with the community that this is a safe space for. And then my last thing I want to say in response to this is the way that the world is. Not only is it heading in this direction, it's always been this way. We've existed as non-gender, gender fluid and trans people and gay and lesbian people since the dawn of time. We've always been here. We always will be here. And there's really nothing you can do about it. So my answer to you having a problem with our existence is die mad about it, because we're not going anywhere. On that note, today's card is the High Priestess, and we're specifically talking about one of the cards that I see the most gender essentialist nonsense about. Where this card embodies some of the ideals that women are told to ascribe to in paganism, specifically cis women, but I've even seen trans women be pushed into these roles, and it either goes trans women also should be pushed into this role, or trans women shouldn't exist, and that seems to be sort of the split on the interpretation of the High Priestess, which are both kind of like fit in or die, and ew. But I'm really gonna start off right now just by reading. The founder of Wicca had some comments on what a High Priestess should or should not be, and so these words are from Gerald Gardner's Ardain. His Ardains were the laws via which Wiccans are supposed to operate. And this is the founding father, so before anyone goes, that's not what Wicca says, then this is from the mouth of the founder. However, I support Wicca moving in a more inclusive direction and less gender essentialist direction, and I'm sure that it can. So, for the gods love the Wicca as a man loveth a woman by mastering her. He gives instructions, and the High Priestess shall rule her coven as representative of the goddess, and the High Priest shall support her as the representative of the god, and the High Priestess shall choose whom she will, if he have sufficient rank, to be her High Priest. For the god himself kissed her feet in the fivefold salute, laying his power at the feet of the goddess, because of her youth and beauty, her sweetness and kindness, her wisdom and justice, her humility and generosity. So he resigned his lordship to her, but the priestess should ever mind that all power comes from him. It is only lent when it is used wisely and justly. And the greatest virtue of the High Priestess is that she recognizes that youth is necessary to be the representative of the goddess, so that she will retire gracefully in favor of a younger woman, should the coven so decide in council. For the true High Priestess realizes that gracefully surrendering pride of place is one of the greatest of virtues, and that thereby she will return to that pride of place in another life with greater power and beauty. So, when I was little, one of my favorite tarot books was The Girl's Guide to Tarot. And I liked it because it was super, super simple, and it had the divinatory meanings, and it had the reverse meanings, and it was just really blunt. But right here, it specifically says that the High Priestess is a wise woman who has knowledge of the world around her, but her special wisdom concerns the inner self. She brings gifts of intuition and creativity. And I remember when I was little just being like, okay. And then I started reading other interpretations. The High Priestess and sexuality. This is from the Book of Thoth. If you are a man interested in a woman represented by the High Priestess, chances are she is a complete enigma to you. Does she want a relationship? Is she really the Ice Maiden, or will she thaw? If she does, it is because something within her says so. So impressing her with roses and chocolates is probably not going to work. Now, if she is the Empress, then those seductive gifts will do their business. Okay. Let's see. This one's from the Rider-Waite interpretation. She is also the supernal mother herself. That is to say, she is the bright reflection. And it goes on to say that this means that she is the spiritual bride and the feminine embodiment of the divine, and that her role is to fulfill an answer to a man. Always a man. She's half of him, not a whole being in and of herself. Let's see. Back to the Book of Thoth. High Priestess, purity is to live only to the highest, and the highest is all. Be thou as Artemis to Pan. Read thou in the Book of Law, and break through the veil of the Virgin. It goes on to say that, Atala always interprets the High Priestess as the woman who most interests the querent. Whatever woman is the most mysterious, the most impenetrable to him, then that's the High Priestess. Let's see. I have seen people encouraged to represent the High Priestess as feminine intuition, as our ability, the ability unique to cis women to suss out the truth of any situation, that unique feminine mastery of emotions, that unique ability of women to know bullshit. That's this card. I've also been told that this represents feminine sexuality and women who choose to go their own way and as such are a mystery to men. Okay, I want to just talk to you for a second and just assume for the rest of this rant that by women, I am including non-binary persons who occasionally identify as women, non-binary persons who are assumed to be women because of how they dress and present themselves, gender-fluid people who are occasionally women, gender-fluid people who, again, present as women or are assumed to be women because of how they dress or the fact that they have large breasts, cis women, trans women, basically anyone that the world looks at and goes, oh, that's a woman. Our brains are not mysterious lady brains. They do not work differently than men's brains. And in fact, every study that's tried to prove that women's brains just work differently, we work in mysterious ways, we're from Venus and men are from Mars, have proven that nope, actually our brains work like brains, and that scientists, in fact, cannot tell the difference between male brain activity and female brain activity, because there isn't one. It's all social. But specifically, I keep being told that women act in mysterious ways, that women have this mysterious feminine intuition, that women are it's so hard to know what women want. What do women want? What do women want? What do women want? We've been telling you for centuries, actually probably for millennia, and from what I've observed throughout my entire life, it's not that women don't say quite bluntly what they want, it's that men don't listen, because women are objects, and women don't know their own minds. I mean, do you know how often in just my own life I've been told that I don't know what I want when I'm standing there going, yes I do, I want this, I want this. And if you are going to start citing examples to me of when women say, oh, I don't know, it might be because there's this huge societal pressure to do what a man wants, and in fact, to never say bluntly no. And before you go, women say no all the time, I want you to just Google, what happens when a woman says no? And look at all of the shootings and stabbings and beatings that have occurred just in the last year when a woman has said no. No to a date, no to getting lunch, no to staying married, no to having sex. Oh, that last one. Gee, it's almost like we have this huge rape culture problem where women are encouraged never to say no for fear of violence, but if we didn't scream no over and over and over again, if there was an absence of a screamed no, then we must have consented, right? Right? Look, women brains, they're not mysterious. And that so lauded intuition we have, that's actually the same kind of hyper-awareness that's created in soldiers in militarized zones. And if you doubt me, seriously, there have been multiple studies that the reason why women are hyper-intuitive is because we are constantly in danger. Okay? We have to be hypersensitive to what body language is telling us because the world keeps trying to kill us. And before you go, nuh-uh, let me tell you something. There was recently a study into how often women are harassed in public. And in harassment, they didn't just count catcalling, which, yes, is sexual harassment. They counted being followed, being blocked, being touched, being groped, being violently assaulted. Like, basically, how often does this happen? And out of 811 people that they interviewed, only 3 in 811 women said that it had never happened to them. And the majority, over 80%, said that it happens every single month since the time that they presented visible secondary sexual characteristics, i.e. breasts. And some of them, it started before that. Yes, it was. Look, women are in danger just existing in this environment. And before you go, nuh-uh, every statistic backs me up. Like, every statistic backs me up. And included in this is the fact that we live in an environment that is telling us that it is our responsibility to understand the emotions of people around us and to be basically emotion interpreters. All right? What happens when a cisgendered boy starts to cry? Man up. It doesn't hurt. Don't cry. Only girls cry. Crying is for boys, or for girls. Boys don't cry. You get called the P word. You get called all manner of nasty names. Boys are not encouraged to understand their own emotions. They're encouraged to suppress them. They're encouraged to keep them caged. What happens when men seek out help with mental illness? Anybody know?
They get laughed at. They get told it's not real.
Yep, they get laughed at. They get told it's not real. We have a serious suicide problem with cisgendered men in our culture. Like a serious suicide problem. Because cisgendered men are not encouraged to know themselves and to interpret their own emotions. In fact, they are encouraged to find a woman to do it for them. Like, women are expected to be the therapists and emotional support characters for the men in their lives and basically be the emotional punching bag, the emotional dumping ground, and the emotional interpreter for the men around them, which is detrimental to both sides of that binary. It is detrimental to cis men and it is detrimental to cis women. It hurts both of them. But this whole well, men don't understand emotions, but women have this special mysterious intuition is especially interpreted as this card. I have been there so often when I've been told that this represents the feminine divine and the feminine divine intuition and the women's mastery over emotions. I've even been told that that's why there's water in the card. Is it supposed to represent the feminine divine grasp over emotions? But there's not even water in most depictions of the High Priestess card. Yeah. So water doesn't have a gender either. So, right, if it does, we don't know it. So, what I was taught this card represents, because I could seriously spend the entire half an hour ranting about how, no, I don't have a special lady brain. I have a brain, and it's just as capable of being blockheaded and emotionally obtuse and completely unaware of what I'm feeling as anybody else's brain. Like, this idea that I have complete mastery over my emotions is a joke, because, like, so often I'm mad, and I don't understand how there can be simultaneously a belief that women are not in control of their emotions, and, oh, don't let a woman be president, she'll get her time of the month and press the nuke button, and simultaneously the only people capable of emotional intelligence. You do know that both can't be true. We can't be completely out of control of our emotions and these hysterical, dangerous women who can't be trusted with power, and the only people capable of emotional intelligence. Also, just for the record, the reason why people who menstruate are assumed to behave irrationally on their menses is actually because that's when we have more testosterone and are more aggressive, similar to, oh, wait a second, which people have more testosterone? I mean, cis men, right? Wait, so you think that we're irrational and can't behave ourselves when we are more likely to behave like you? Okay. Anyway, I could rant on this all day long. Let's talk about how I do interpret the card, instead of all the, like, no, it's not the special lady mystique. I interpret the High Priestess as thus. There are two gates towards pursuing spiritual knowledge of the self and of the universe. One is by traveling inwards, for the entire universe is within you. Everything that the universe is reflected also in you. So you could learn everything you ever needed to learn about magic by looking within. The other is everything that is within you is also in the outer world. So you could learn everything you ever needed to learn about the workings inside of you and the workings of magic itself by exploring the outer world. The High Priestess represents the gate of knowledge through looking at the self. The High Priest represents the gate of knowledge through looking at the world. The end. You do not have to gender this concept. I just said everything you were saying about intuition and self-exploration without gendering a piece of cardboard.
Amazing!
I know! If you mean that it is the gate of intuition, say that. If you mean that it is the gate of internal exploration, say that. If you mean that this is the means of understanding the magic of the world around you by looking within, say that. If you mean that this is the means of exploring the outer universe by the gate within you, say that. That's what you mean. When this card pops up in a meeting, it generally means that the answers are within you. If the card is upside down, it either means the answers are not within you, or that you're looking within yourself the wrong way. So pull a clarifying card. Does it mean that, like, they're not in there and you need to look outside you, or does it mean you're looking in the wrong place inside yourself? It can, yeah.
I'll remember that. Yeah.
It can also mean, like, that you're not listening to what the inside of you is trying to tell you. Like, seriously, and before anybody goes, oh, but I have a penis, I can't do that. Go take a bubble bath. Go sit somewhere quiet and still and comfortable and safe, where you feel in control of your environment and you have sanctuary and you have time where nobody is going, but mom, or dad, where your work isn't calling and you can't reach Facebook.
This world is crazy.
And that's when the answer will come. That's how you interpret the High Priestess. You go, find time to listen to yourself. Patience, silence, seeking without crowding yourself. People tend to go like, oh, I can't solve this problem, so I guess I'll get on Tumblr, I'll futz around on Instagram, and if that's your process, that's your process. But generally, the High Priestess represents, take some time to be by yourself and listen to what you are trying to tell you. Okay? That's all it means. And one of the dangers is interpreting this as a woman. Do you think that cisgendered men never need to do that? Wow, I know a lot of cisgendered men where I want to be like, hey, buddy, take some time to get to know yourself. Like, take some time to gain some mastery over the self, because you are all over the place and you don't know what the heck you're saying. Like, believe me that every gender presentation, every gender identification needs to take this time to explore themselves, to understand themselves, and to know who they are before they go out into the outer world where everyone's gonna tell them who they are. Everyone in this world has been being told who and what they are because of the color of their skin, because of their gender, because of what they were designated at birth, because of their nationality, their ethnicity, their culture. Since infancy, take some time to go like, hey, beyond that bullshit, who am I? And how do I actually respond to things? And what tools do I have within myself that I can apply to this situation? So, that's today's class.